Oh, well, this is a country founded by immigrants.
Well, this is a country founded by...
country.
This is a very unique country, and it was founded by some immigrants and some settlers. But just because we were founded by immigrants doesn't mean that 240 years later that we have to have the dumbest immigration policy in the world. Let me just address this particular issue, Margaret, because as a practicing Catholic, I was actually heartbroken by that statement. And I think that the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops needs to actually look in the mirror a little bit and recognize that when they receive over $100 million to help resettle illegal immigrants, are they worried about humanitarian concerns, or are they actually worried about their bottom line? We are going to enforce immigration law. We're going to protect the American people.
Yeah.
Donald Trump promised to do that. And I believe the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, if they're worried about the humanitarian costs of immigration enforcement, let them talk about the children who have been sex trafficked because of the wide open border of Joe Biden.
You personally
let them talk
support
about
them going into
people like
schools
Laken
and
Riley
churches.
who were brutally murdered. I support us doing law enforcement against violent criminals, whether they're illegal immigrants or anybody else, in a way that keeps us safe.
All right, guys. So today, Vice President J.D. Vance did an interview with CBS News and Face the Nation. And I'm really happy that they seem to be bringing back the campaign year tradition of basically every single weekend, every single Sunday, you send J.D. Vance out there to debate and essentially defend the Trump agenda against the mainstream media. Vance is obviously very good at this. It is useful for him because it also helps him build up his 2028 stock. And you're probably not surprised to find out that CBS News has not changed a bit. In fact, they got in a lot of trouble, as we'll bring up later in the video, on election year for not exactly serving the public interest, which their public broadcasting license actually requires them to do. But as you can imagine, the journalists are struggling very hard to find new attack lines against Trump. So guys, what is the new attack against Trump that J.D. Vance was forced to defend here? Well, it's that Trump has not brought down prices yet. That's right. Now, as a little fact check here, Trump has only been in office for 6 days. Okay, so they're saying, like, why haven't you fixed the affordability and inflation crisis? He's been in office for 6 days, and it's actually much closer to 5.5 days when you want to break it down very specifically. I believe also this interview was recorded on Saturday. So we're really saying, why have you not brought down prices in 4.5 days? That's literally like if you hired a new head coach for, let's say, your football team, and they ask you in week 1 of the season, hey, why haven't you won a championship yet? I mean, I don't know. He just got here. It's like the first week of the season, you know, but take a look at this exchange as J.D. Vance is almost sort of dumbfounded by this question, but responds to the allegation of why has Trump not fixed inflation in his first week in office? Okay, let's check it out.
A lot of things that contributed to higher energy prices, and there was record oil and gas production.
Yes, Joe Biden did many terrible things to lead to an increase in prices. I agree, Margaret.
No, but all the things you experience at the grocery store are what people touch and feel. That's what you were talking about, bacon on the campaign trail.
Of course, of course.
Those things. When do consumers actually get to touch and feel a difference in their lives?
Well, Margaret, how does bacon get to the grocery store? It comes on trucks that are fueled by diesel fuel. If the diesel's way too expensive, the bacon's going to become more expensive. How do we grow the bacon? Our farmers need energy to produce it. So if we lower energy prices, we are going to see lower prices for consumers, and that is what we're trying to fight for.
Okay, so that's certainly true. Bringing down the price of energy would bring down the price of anything else, right? You need a supply chain to transport things like food. You know, food takes energy production to make the food, etc. But I have a much better answer to that question. How about this? How about this? Again, we've been in office for 5.5 days. Okay, you know, it's so funny because the past 4 years, right, inflation apparently, remember, it wasn't real. It was transitory, it was temporary, and then suddenly inflation is real, but it's not our fault, blah, blah, blah. You never see CBS try to ask Biden, hey, why haven't you done something about inflation in 4 years, right, in 4 years? But now with Trump, it's like, hey, it's been 5 days. Why are the prices coming down? It's like, again, okay, how about you give us some time to do something? Yes, if it's 2026, 2028, the prices are still high, then that's a valid criticism or a failure, you could say, of the Trump administration. But guys, I want to reiterate, we just got here. Okay, just unbelievable. But by the way, guys, if you're enjoying the content, make sure you hit that like button down below and subscribe if you are new. New subscribing is the #1 way to ensure we can keep doing these videos. It's totally free, and it also helps us, believe it or not, fight back against the mainstream media, because the more that independent media on platforms like this grows, the more the credibility of CBS goes down the tubes. But as you can see, all right, so that didn't exactly go all that well for this journalist. And again, she just looks really stupid asking that question. I almost wish that JD Vance would have pointed out, again, we just got to office, like, calm down. But now take a listen as CBS tries to grill us on immigration, an issue that actually largely lost Democrats the 2024 election. And likewise, that does not go all that well for her. Check it out.
When you talked to us in August, you said, I don't think we should abandon anybody who's been properly vetted and helped us. Do you stand by that?
Well, Margaret, I don't agree that all these immigrants or all these refugees have been properly vetted. In fact, we know that there are cases of people who allegedly were properly vetted and then were literally planning terrorist attacks on our country. That happened during the campaign, if you may remember. So clearly not all of these foreign nationals have been properly vetted. But there are 30,000 people in the pipeline, Afghan refugees. But my primary concern as the vice president, Margaret, is to look after the American people. And now that we know that we have vetting problems with a lot of these refugee programs, we absolutely cannot unleash thousands of unvetted people into our country.
These people are vetted. These people are vetted.
Just like the guy who planned a terrorist attack in Oklahoma a few months ago, he was allegedly properly vetted. And many people in the media and the Democratic Party said that he was properly vetted. Clearly he wasn't. I don't want my children to share a neighborhood with people who are not properly vetted. And because I don't want it for my kids, I'm not going to force any other American citizens' kids to do that either.
No, and that was a very particular case. It wasn't clear if he was radicalized when he got here or while he was living here.
I don't really care, Margaret. I don't want that person in my country. And I think most Americans agree with me.
We'll be back.
Exactly. It doesn't matter. And, this is actually kind of giving me a little bit of deja vu, because CBS News, if you'll remember, in the VP debate, back in, October 2024, tried to pull this same exact stunt that Democrats and Biden administration often try to do, which is, oh, well, technically, guys, they're legal immigrants, because if you have an illegal immigrant who applies for the CBP1 app, right? Remember that whole thing that Biden was doing? Technically, now our government is giving them permission to be here. So it's all okay. Same issue with properly vetted stuff. It's like, okay, properly vetted by who? We're talking about these refugees. The Biden administration? Yeah, properly vetted by the Biden administration, again, doesn't really, validate what you're trying to say here. It's the same issue where they said, oh, well, the Haitian migrants in Springfield, Ohio, technically the government has allowed them into the country, so therefore they're legal immigrants, not illegal immigrants. It's like, you can play those semantics all you want, but as JD Vance pointed out back in that VP debate, let's take a little trip down memory lane here. Just because the government, through arguably illegal executive action, has given illegal immigrants the permission to be here, does not make them so-called legal immigrants. And frankly, the semantics do not necessarily matter. The point is, these people should be returned back home to their countries.
And just to clarify for our viewers, Springfield, Ohio does have a large number of Haitian migrants who have legal status. Right. Temporary protected status.
Well, Margaret, but
thank you, Senator. We have so much to get to.
Margaret, I think it's important because
we're going to turn out of the economy. Thank you,
Margaret. The rules were that you guys weren't going to fact check, and since you're fact checking me, I think it's important to say what's actually going on. So there's an application called the CBP1 app, where you can go on as an illegal migrant, apply for asylum or apply for parole, and be granted legal status at the wave of a Kamala Harris open border wand. That is not a person coming in, applying for a green card and waiting for 10 years. That is the facilitation of illegal immigration, Margaret, by our own leadership.
Thank you, Senator, for describing the legal process. We have so much to get to, Senator.
Those laws have been on the books since 1990.
Thank you, gentlemen.
The CBP1 app has not been on the books since 1990. It's something that Kamala Harris created, Margaret.
Gentlemen, The audience can't hear you because your mics are cut.
Yeah, well, I mean, CBS can keep behaving like CBS all they want, but the reality is this, right? The people elected Donald Trump because they wanted to see serious fixes to this immigration crisis, not just virtue signaling. And now that's exactly what the Trump administration is trying to do. And I don't know. I mean, what is their incentive? Why are they so angry about it? I mean, you tell me.
If you're in the country illegally, you're on the table. Because it's not okay to, violate laws of this country. You got to remember, every time you enter this country illegally, you violated a crime under Title 8, United States Code 1325. It's a crime. So if you're in the country illegally, you got a problem. And that's why I'm hoping those who are in the country illegally who have not been ordered removed by the federal judge should leave.
But anyways, guys, there you have it. As usual, JD Vance is just way too smart for these mainstream media journalists. And I hope, like I said, I think every single Sunday, this can basically serve as a little fireside chat like FDR did, but a little bit different modified, right? It's more like a debate with the mainstream media every Sunday where you send Vance out. He'll handle it well. He'll speak to the American people in the process and continue to degrade the credibility of the legacy media week after week after week. Genius politics, keep doing it. And if Vance keeps doing a good job of it, hey, it helps him as well because his 2028 stock just looks better week after week. But anyways, guys, with that said, be sure to let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comment section down below. Leave a like on this video, subscribe if you are new, and until next time, God bless and peace.